Hey, good evening. Yeah, we got more Oliver fun here in the shop this evening. Yeah, buddy Mikey brought his 1800 back over, and complaint was the lift arms wasn't even working at all, and like it had low pressure on the remotes. I did pressure check remotes before I took it off. Of course, the oil was cold, and I was only getting like maybe 1500 psi, and I think it's supposed to be around 1750 on this model, something like that. I was guessing it'd be around 2000, but and I first pulled that top cover, and studied my book a little bit, and we thought, well, sounds like the problem's in that top servo valve. We took that thing all apart, checked everything, nothing was sticking inside it, and put it back on, put it back together. Didn't change anything. So I'm thinking my servo valve's okay. One thing I learned on these Olivers, and I didn't realize this, but they will not, that lift won't come down when they're off. The Oliver guys all know this, but I'm not around them enough to, I just assumed the lift would come down. But this valve right here, there's kind of a spool inside there with a spring, and it don't take a lot of pressure, maybe, I don't know, I just done it with air, maybe 50 pounds of air to open that up, and that would, I can't even remember which passage it would open, but it would open a passage so that the cylinder would come down then. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Just about every other old farm tractor we got, when the engine's off, you just push forward on the 3-point and they'll lower. But not on the Oliver. Not on the Oliver. I found this other deal too. I noticed my flashlight quit working too. There we go. Just bang on it. It appears to me that fluid pressure from the pump is coming out of this port, and then it's going to go down through this port here to get to the servo valve. This port is connected to here, so that's how that servo is being fed. Well, we'd put a little air pressure in there, and I'd plug that hole off, and I was still getting, I could hear air blowing in the bottom of the case, and I could see that relief valve. I thought, well, maybe that's it. And of course we popped it off, and I'd heard people talk about that elbow causing trouble, maybe cracking. It looks okay, and I'm thinking the relief valve's okay too. But I got this bypass valve, the book calls it bypass valve, on the side, and it was backed out. So when I'd put air pressure on that hole there and that hole there, I was getting leakage through here. So I'm thinking, how in the world would the lift even work? I don't think the lift will work with this backed out, but I could be wrong. I have studied my book a little more, but I kind of wish I could have figured that out before I pulled this. I think we're going to end up putting Mike wants to put a new pump on it anyway, so. But kind of wish I'd experimented with that more before I pulled it off. I really think that'll make the lift work. I think in the book it describes, I believe it describes backing this out if you're using a single acting cylinder on the remotes, if I remember correct. Yeah, I got that pump jammed in there. Pretty snug on the manifold. Oh well. Yeah, looks like I gotta pull the cylinder out of the way to get the pump out. Okay. Alright, more Oliver fun. Kind of a nasty old day today. We've been getting some rain here lately. There's how you tighten your PTO up. I did tighten that a notch while I had it. Looks like that's the only way to get in there. It's from the top. My Minneapolis Moline, my G1000, it's got a port on the side up there you can take a plug out of and just have enough room to reach in there to adjust that. Yeah, that little button just pushes in there, spring loaded. Just quick visual, everything looks pretty good inside here. Yeah, Mike, he pulls no-till drill with this tractor. Yep. And we had it here about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. Had low oil pressure issues and ended up putting a dry sump system on it with an oil cooler. Here's the oil cooler we put in. There's our little extra oil pump. We got 2 oil pumps. Yeah, we just tied in the bottom, welded a union in the bottom of the pan. Little belt drive pump. Yeah, it would, you'd idle this thing down and it'd only have like 5 psi or something like that, maybe even lower than when it was hot. And we pulled the pan down, and it had a recent rebuild on it. And it had like 40 under bearings, and I think they got the crank a little bit too small, and it wasn't going to do us any good to put a new oil pump on. So we're basically in a position we didn't have much to lose. So went with that. So far he's still running. Oh, 40 under crank. I couldn't believe it. Then we put an extra oil filter on it. But that's where we went back in to get back into our oil galleys. Oh well. I'm gonna call tomorrow, see if I can get that, check availability on that rascal first. Probably get gaskets. Be interesting what they tell us on that pump. Okay, well, we'll catch you folks later.